Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming SCS exams happening in February 2026. As you know, my name is Nicholas and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for SCS at TCS. So let's look at the session plan. First things first, I'm going to share a 15-day study plan with you. As you know, you have just 2 weeks until your examination, 15 to 16 days. So we can say that you just have 2 weeks. If you're yet to start your preparations, or if you're clueless of what you're supposed to do, you have already invested on study resources provided by TCS or any other study provider. But if you're clueless of what you are expected to do in the upcoming 2 weeks, I'm going to share a study plan with you. If you commit to the study plan, you can ensure that you complete everything, complete all the mock exams, and most importantly, you have enough time to conduct revision focused on the same mock exams. And as usual, I will be conducting a masterclass in this session as well. And I will be directing your attention towards a question to do with internal audit responsibilities. And towards the very end, I will be conducting a Q&A. Let me remind you of the upcoming workshops we have scheduled for you. So similar to what is covered in today's workshop, I'm going to conduct a masterclass next Sunday at 10 GMT or 10 AM UK, in which I intend to direct your attention towards an E3 or F3 related syllabus element. And then in the final workshop, which happens just 2 or 3 days before your examination, I will be sharing crucial last minute tips with you to make sure that you are walking into the exam with a high level of confidence and positivity. Because as per the CIMA examiner, if you believe in yourself, you are going to perform really well at your exam. So just like how you have attended the previous webinars and workshops, I hope you will attend the upcoming 2 workshops as well. And having said that, let me direct your attention towards the 15-day plan. I've highlighted this 3-step approach with the intention of mastering each mock exam. Why should you take steps to master each mock exam? Because at TCS, we have developed a study process which is solely focused on the 7 mocks which we have developed. So within these 7 mock exams, we have covered 63 subtasks in total. And the intention of covering 63 subtasks is to make sure that you are conversant with how each syllabus elements which are tested under E3, F3, and P3 syllabi are tested at your examination. So we have made sure to cover the entire syllabus. So if you are to be conversant with the entire syllabus, and at the same time, if you want to improve your application skills, then you should direct your attention towards attempting each of the mocks and conducting revision focused on the same mock exams. So as per the 3-step process, you are supposed to first focus your attention towards practicing each mock exam under exam conditions. The objective is not to learn theory and application, but to improve your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. However, since you have just 2 weeks leading up to the exam, I do not think that you have enough time to attempt all mocks under exam conditions. So in this 15-day plan, which I'm going to share in a little while, I'm only asking you to attempt 2 mock exams under exam conditions. And then you are supposed to spend a considerable amount of time on revision, because there's absolutely no point of you attempting all mock exams without taking steps to learn theory and application, and at the same time taking steps to revise your knowledge by developing answer plans. So that's the first step, which in which you are supposed to practice all mock exams. Ideally, you should have practiced all mocks under exam conditions with the prime objective of practicing your answering, time management and stress management techniques. But since you do not have enough time to attempt all mocks, we are asking you just to attempt 2 mock exams under exam conditions, which will make sure that you understand what type of stressors you face during exam conditions, and at the same time you have enough opportunity to practice your answering and time management techniques under real exam conditions. So once you complete a mock exam or practice a mock exam, then you should direct your attention towards learning. This is where you will learn theory and improve application skills. So in order to learn theory and application, rather than trying to work on your own, rather than trying to figure out application on your own, simply watch the master classes which we have developed. Then you will gain a clear understanding of how you should structure your answers, how to approach each conceptual element, how to deal with application, and as well as you'd gain a clear understanding of the logic behind each answer. So after you have learned these elements, theory and application, then most importantly, as the third step, you need to take steps to revise. So out of these three steps, the most important element is the third one, because just because you watch the master classes, you cannot expect that you have grasped these concepts in depth, because you have to test for yourself and see whether you are in a position to structure answers which are akin to TCSs. So you will learn theory and application when you watch the master classes, but you need to solidify your understanding by developing answer plans on your own, trying to figure out whether you have the capability of replicating TCS's answer plans. If when you understand the fact that focused on each mock exam, you have the capability of redeveloping TCS's answer plans on your own, this leads to higher level of confidence, and at the same time, this will remind you about the fact that you have taken steps to effectively learn each conceptual element. You have learned application, and you have the capability of implementing your knowledge as well as application skills in a foolproof manner during your exam, when you have the capability or when you develop the capability to improve your answering technique when you are conducting revision. So since you do not have enough time to practice all mocks under exam conditions, I've put in a higher amount of weightage towards learning and revision elements, or steps 2 and 3, because you cannot skip these two steps. These two steps are the most important elements which are intended to teach you theory and application, and at the same time intended to cement your understanding of how you should deal with your answering technique. All right, so let's try to figure out what you are supposed to do on a daily basis. So you have to start your preparations ideally tomorrow, because you simply have 15 days at your disposal. So if you want to pass in the upcoming SCS exams, definitely you have to start your preparations tomorrow. If you have time today, you can start today itself as well. So in the first day, you are supposed to watch the pre-scene analysis videos, which is going to take 3 hours of your time. Before you start preparations focused on mock exams, you need to gain a sound understanding of the internals and externals of your chosen company. Because if you are to deal with application in a precise manner, first things first, you need to understand what happens within your company. So that's why you have to kickstart your preparations by watching the pre-scene analysis videos. So do it today itself if you have time. If not, you can do it tomorrow. And once you're done with it on the second day, you should focus your attention towards mastering mock number 1. As I mentioned earlier, you do not have time to attempt each mock under exam conditions. So simply read through the questions and the answer plan of mock number 1, which is going to take 3 hours of your time. And on the same day, redevelop the answer plans on your own, focused on mock number 1. So in the second day, in order to master mock number 1, you are supposed to dedicate 4.5 hours of study time. And then on day 3, you are supposed to focus your attention towards mock number 2. So you have access to master classes concerning mock number 2. So simply watch the master classes to learn theory and application in a jiffy. And then once you have learned these elements, redevelop answer plans focused on the same mock exam again, which is going to take 4.5 hours of your time. And I want you guys to attempt mock number 3 via our exam platform, with the intention of practicing your answering time management and stress management techniques under exam conditions. And as you know, at TCS, we provide tutor feedback focused on 2 mock exams, namely mocks 3 and 5. So that's why I want you to attempt mocks 3 and 5 under exam conditions. So that's exactly what you can see here. You are supposed to attempt mock 3 via the exam platform and also attempt mock number 5 via the exam platform. Other than that, focused on the remaining mock exams, it's simply a matter of watching master classes, redeveloping answer plans, or reading through the questions and the answer plans which we have shared with you. So on day 4, attempt mock number 3, which is going to take 3 hours of your time. And then in order to solidify your knowledge concerning mock number 3, on the 5th day, watch the master classes and redevelop answer plans, which is going to take 4.5 hours of your time. And on day 6, focus your attention towards mastering mock number 4. And on day 7, attempt mock number 5 via the exam platform, which gives you the opportunity to practice your answering, time management, and stress management techniques under exam conditions, which is going to take 3 hours of your time. And on the 8th day, take steps to solidify your understanding concerning what is covered within mock number 5 by watching the master classes and redeveloping answer plans. And on the 9th day, focus your attention towards mastering mock number 6. And on the 10th day, focus your attention towards mastering mock number 7. And once you're done with it, within 10 days, you are done with all 7 mock exams. You have not just, watched the master classes or gone through the answer plans. You have taken steps to solidify your understanding on your own, which leads to a greater level of confidence because you will know for a fact that you have learned all conceptual elements which are contained within E3, F3, and P3 syllabi. And at the same time, you have, figured out application, which leads to high quality answers at your exam. So once you're done with these things, leading up to the examination from day 11 onwards, you need to direct your attention towards revision. So just 4 to 5 days before your exam, you are supposed to go through each answer plan from top to bottom, which will ensure that it's as if 4 to 5 days before your exam, it's as if you are going through the entire syllabus one last time. Not just the syllabus, you are reminding yourself about how to deal with application, how to approach each conceptual element and therefore structure your answers, how to develop logical answers. So when you are involved with revision closer to closer to your exam, this will make sure that you remember how to approach each conceptual element and how to deal with application on the day of your exam. So most students, they struggle with, they do attempt mock exams, but they struggle to remember or understand what or how to approach each conceptual element. So for instance, when attempting mock exams, you would have seen a question tied to the SCS framework. And when you read through the suggested answer, you might have felt that, okay, I can totally tackle the SCS framework without any hiccups. But on the day of the exam or during the exam, when you see a question to do with SCS, you end up struggling. Why is this the case? Given the fact that you have not taken any steps to conduct your revision in a foolproof manner. So that's why I've dedicated 4 to 5 days before the exam solely on revision. You are solely supposed to read through the answer plans. So tackle 2 mock exams per day, which is going to take 3 hours of your time. When you do so, within 4 days, you will cover the entire syllabus. You will cover all 7 mock exams, which will ensure that you remember how to approach each conceptual element and therefore how you should structure your answers, the type of points you should include in your answers at your real examination. And on the 15th day, take a break, stop all your work, because if you stick to this plan and keep working on a daily basis, you will, for yourself, understand the fact that you have, built your skill set. And when you build your skill set as well as knowledge, this leads to a high level of confidence. When you're confident, you can, make up your mind to stop work a day, at least a day prior to your exam. Because as I've mentioned throughout this webinar and workshop series, it is essential that you stop your work at least a day before your exam, because I want you guys to walk into the exam with a high level of open-mindedness. The only way to achieve a high level of open-mindedness is to rest a day before your exam or take a break a day before your exam. because in this exam, your application skills are heavily tested. So if you are to develop highly successful answers, you need to consider what is highlighted within each unseen. So if you are to consider unseen information when developing your answers at your real examination, you need to walk into the exam with um, an open mind. So you need to think that you're actually working for this company, and this is, these are the type of issues the company is facing, or these are the type of opportunities the company is trying to exploit. Then you need to think in a practical manner as to how you would tackle these opportunities or issues in a practical manner. So that is why it is essential that you walk into the exam with a high level of open-mindedness. At TCS, we never ask you to memorize answers, because you cannot memorize solutions, especially given the fact that the examiner tries to replicate a real-life corporate environment. So it's as if you are walking into office on a Monday. When you're walking into office, you do not know what the company has faced, the type of issues the company has faced, or what the board members intend to, exploit in terms of opportunities. It's simply a matter of opening your emails, reading through the emails, and coming up with logical answers. So yes, you should gain an understanding of how to approach each conceptual element, what to include concerning each conceptual element in your answers. But it is not about memorizing answers, but to understand the logic and the structure of each answer, and replicate the same type of logic at your exam, considering what is highlighted within your unseen. So that is why it's essential that you achieve a high level of open-mindedness, and the only way to do so is to take a break a day before your exam. If you look at world-class athletes, for instance, before the sporting event, a day before, or 2 days before a sporting event, they take a break. They put in all the hard yards when conducting prep, in training, but they take a break a day or two before the meet, before the sporting event. Why is this the case? Because you need some time to rest, both mentally and physically, in order to be in a position to perform really well at a certain sporting event. So you need to replicate a similar methodology. So that's why I want you guys to start tomorrow itself. If possible, start tonight by watching the pre-scene analysis videos. When you commit to the study plan, you will learn all conceptual elements. You will significantly improve your application skills. You will understand how to logically structure your answers. And when this is the case, this leads to a high level of confidence. And in the final 4 to 5 days, you are supposed to go through, read through answer plans once more, going through the entire syllabus, which will again boost your confidence. And when this is the case, you need not worry about failing the upcoming exam. You need not be anxious, because you have done all the hard work within just 14 days, within just 2 weeks. And when you take a break a day prior to your exam, you are taking steps to ensure that you are poised to perform really well and achieve 90 plus marks in your upcoming exam. So some of you might have failed in the previous sitting, given the fact that you were doubting yourself, you were anxious on the day of the exam. When you're anxious, this leads to undue levels of stress leads to brain freeze. So in order to avoid all these things, simply stick to the study plan, put in all the hard yards in the upcoming 2 weeks, because in order to pass this exam, you just need to work hard for 2 weeks. If not, you will have to focus your attention towards a totally new case study in May. And on top of that, the syllabus add-ons are going to further complicate your preparations. So in order to avoid all these issues, avoid uncertainties, the best approach is to work hard in the upcoming 2 weeks. Then you can say goodbye to CIMA. I know for a fact that CIMA exams are extremely hard. I've gone through the same process as well. So simply make up your mind to work your ass off in the upcoming 2 weeks. If you do so, you can pass this exam comfortably. So I will be sharing the study plan with you after this session via the WhatsApp group. I hope you will stick to this if not, forget about sitting in February. Instead, make up your mind to sit at the exams happening in May 2026. All right, so that's the 15-day plan. I hope you will stick to this. And before I conduct the masterclass, let me quickly remind you what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the SCS page. If you're yet to create a free user account, click on this button and create one. Then you'd gain access to the student dashboard. And when you're in the student dashboard, click on My Courses in front of SCS Free. You would see an Access Content button. Click on it. And via the Videos tab, you'd gain access to the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops we conduct. And via the Study Material tab, you'd gain access to the pre-seen mind map and the answer plan of mock number 1, free of charge. And under the mocks tab, you'd gain access to the questions and suggested answers of mock number 1. And via the exams tab, you have the opportunity of attempting mock number 1 under exam conditions via our exam platform, which is the exact replica of the Pearson VOA system. All right, so make use of these free resources on offer by creating a free account. And if you are interested in investing on our paid content, check our sample material before you do so. And I urge you to join our SCS WhatsApp discussion forum because via this forum, we will keep you guys informed of the workshop commencement dates and times. And at the same time, whenever you have a question, I'm always there to address your requirements. And talking about what we offer 2 packages, the essential course and the premium course. The essential course is intended for those who have completed their OTQs. So since you have completed your E3, F3, and P3 OTQs, you have already learned the entire syllabus. So when conducting preparations, it is simply a matter of getting grips with application. So under essential, you'd gain access to the recordings of all weekly webinars and workshops, 6 mock exams with suggested answers. Although this says 6 mock exams, you actually have access to 7 mock exams. We have made sure to cover the entire syllabus. That's why you'd gain access to 63 subtasks in total. You will gain access to pre-seen analysis videos. Simply watch these 3 videos to gain an in-depth understanding of what appears within your pre-seen document. You'd also gain access to the annotated pre-seen industry and financial analysis slides. Let me quickly show you what these resources look like. So we have come up with annotations with the prime objective of summarizing the entire pre-seen. And at the same time, we have conducted our own analysis with the intention of ensuring that you gain a deeper understanding of what happens within your chosen company. Also, we have indicated probable exam scenarios which can be tested. And when developing our mock exams, we have made sure to cover all these elements which appear within your annotated pre-seen. Also, we have conducted a financial analysis focused on each financial statement which appears within your pre-seen. So we have made sure to keep things simple so that you can easily gain an understanding of what happens within your company in a financial sense. And at the very end, we have conducted a ratio analysis with the prime objective of comparing your company's financial performance against its closest competitor so that you'd gain a sound understanding of the financial standing of your chosen company. Similarly, we have developed a set of industry analysis slides. You need not, conduct your own industry analysis. We have already done it for you. So in the first part, we have defined your industry. In the second part, we have explained about the competitive landscape, and we have also highlighted the industry trends. And based on these industry trends, scenarios will be thrown at you at your real exam. And towards the very end, we have considered 2 real-life companies and explain how these 2 real-life companies operate within your chosen industry. So all these things are covered within our pre-seen analysis video. So you need not actually go through these resources if you watch the pre-seen analysis videos. And also you'd gain access to the top 20 likely issue slides, which indicate the most probable scenarios which can be tested at the exam. You will also gain access to a case study familiarization kit. If you read through this kit, within 10 to 15 minutes, you can gain a clear understanding of all the technicalities behind your SCS exam. You'd gain access to a tutor-managed live chat and OTQ revision cards. So after attempting each mock exam, if you feel that you had forgotten a certain conceptual element, Do not waste time to go through bulky study texts. Simply brush up your knowledge by reading through the OTQ revision cards. So the essential course is priced at £299. And talking about the premium course, this comes with a pass guarantee because we have included some additional resources within premium on top of what appears within essential. So the premium course is intended for those who are coming through the exemption routes and those who had failed the exam previously. So both these sets of students have the same problem. There are gaps in theory knowledge and issues with application. So we have included some additional resources, as I mentioned earlier, with the prime objective of teaching you all conceptual elements which can be tested at the exam, along with teaching you application. So under premium, you'd gain access to the online mock exam platform, on which you can attempt each mock exam under exam conditions. So if you're already sticking to our previous study plans, keep pushing, keep attempting each mock under exam conditions. However, if you're yet to start your preparations, simply attempt mocks 3 and 5 under exam conditions. Forget about attempting the remaining mocks because you do not have time, as I mentioned earlier. And you also gain access to answer plans of all mock exams, which is extremely crucial when it comes to revision. Rather than reading through pages and pages of suggested answers and trying to figure out the logic behind each answer, trying to figure out how to structure your answers, you can easily figure this out when you have access to the answer plans. In a little while, I'm going to conduct the masterclass focused on the answer plans which we have developed for mock number 1. Then you would realize how beneficial these answer plans are. And especially, I said that most importantly, as per our 3-step study process, you are supposed to revise, thereby taking steps to redevelop answer plans on your own. So these answer plans are going to be extremely crucial when it comes to conducting your revision. And also, you gain access to 15 masterclasses in total via the free webinars and workshops which were conducted in November, as well as February, focused on November 2025 and February 2026 sessions. We have conducted masterclasses focused on mock number 1, as well as parts of mock number 7. But from mocks 2 to 6, you have access to full masterclasses. And in each masterclass, our objective is to teach you the theoretical concepts covered within our mock exams and at the same time explain how to deal with application. Also, via premium, you gain access to one-on-one tutor feedback on 2 mock exams, namely mocks 3 and 5. Let me quickly show you the type of feedback on offer at TCS. So as you can see, we have evaluated each and every point in depth, making sure to highlight your shortcomings, because the objective of opting for tutor feedback should be to figure out what your shortcomings are. Because if you do not know your shortcomings, you will end up repeating the same mistakes during your exam. So the best way to avoid pitfalls, avoid mistakes, is to gain an understanding of where you are going wrong, because all these problems can be fixed when you conduct revision. So these are the type of feedback on offer. And at the very end, we have also indicated the mark allocations on a subtask by subtask basis. We have also indicated the success rate. By looking at the success rate, by looking at the yellow highlighted elements, you can easily figure out the subtasks in which your performance was substandard. And then when conducting revision, focus on these yellow highlighted subtasks and spend a bit of additional time when it comes to redeveloping answer plans. This is the best way to conduct your revision, because you are focusing on overcoming your shortcomings when you conduct revision based on the tutor feedback we offer. So that's what's on offer via the premium course. So given the fact that you have access to all these resources, we are guaranteeing your pass. So if you invest on premium and end up scoring 70 to 79 marks, then you will gain access to the premium content in your subsequent sitting free of charge. So if you stick to the study resources, as well as if you stick to the study plans which we have shared, you still have time. If you stick to the 15-day study plan, you still can complete all the necessary work, which will ensure that you score 90 plus marks at your exam. So the premium course is priced at £599, which can be paid in 2 installments of £299 each, or if you opt to pay in full, you'd end up saving £100, and therefore the price is just £499. So you can invest on your preferred course by clicking on either of these buttons. So if you're still contemplating about starting, I hope you will start right now, because you do not have time to waste. You simply have 2 weeks at your disposal. So if you put your heart and soul into your preparations, within just 2 weeks, you can say goodbye to CIMA. All right. So I wanted to highlight this as well. I forgot to actually mention this. So within each day, usually you are supposed to spend something like 4.5 weeks. So you might be thinking about how you are going to find 4.5 weeks on a daily basis in the upcoming 2 weeks, especially given the fact that you are busy with your daily lives. So ideally, what I feel is, when it comes to reading through answer plans, or when it comes to watching a masterclass, it's better to do it in the morning. So if you wake up usually at 6 a.m. in the morning, you have to make up your mind to wake up a bit early, with the intention of watching the masterclasses or reading through the answer plans, because when you wake up in the morning, your mind is fresh. Then it is easier for you to grasp what is highlighted within each of the masterclasses, because it's essential that you gain a good understanding of each theoretical concept and how to deal with application. So don't try to watch these masterclasses or go through these answer plans towards the end of the day. Instead, early morning, watch these masterclasses. I know for a fact that I'm asking you to dedicate 3 hours of your time on a daily basis each morning, which is going to be tough. But if you commit yourself in the upcoming 2 weeks, you can pass this exam comfortably. So watch the masterclasses or read through the answer plans in the morning. And once you're back home from work, take some rest, have your dinner, put your children to sleep, and spend 1.5 hours before you sleep focusing on revision, in which you are taking steps to redevelop answer plans. So you have learned everything in the morning. You are practicing the answering technique towards the night. This will ensure that you gain a sound understanding of how to approach each conceptual element and how to structure your answers. And most importantly, you're not just doing this once. You are just 4 days before the exam, you are supposed to read through the answer plans once more. So you can do this early in the morning by dedicating 3 hours of your time, and probably you'd get study break as well. If you get study break, then things are going to be extremely easy for you in terms of revision. So don't wait until the last moment to start preparations. Start right now, because you might encounter hiccups in the upcoming 2 weeks. So you might have to take a day off. Still, even if you take a day or two off, you still have time to fix everything, because I've dedicated 4 days of your time towards revision closer to the exam. So if you miss out on 2 days, do not get demotivated, because you can always catch up in the final 2 or 3 days. Okay, so I hope you will stick to this study plan. I actually forgot to tell you how to approach each day. So that's why I explained this. So watch the masterclass or read through the answer plans early in the morning. Dedicate 3 hours of your time to do so. And before going to sleep, take steps to redevelop the answer plan on your own, which is going to take just 1.5 hours of your study time. All right. So having said that, let's move to the masterclass. So I'm going to direct your attention towards SCS Mock 1, Section 2, Subtask B, which is focused on internal audit responsibilities. So last time when I conducted the masterclass, I tackled a question which had a mix of theory as well as application. But in here, it's mostly this question is mostly focused on testing your application skills, because when you look at internal audit responsibilities, there's not much theory. Instead, you need to come up with a practical answer considering what's highlighted within the unseen. So I'm going to explain how to come up with practical answers or how to tackle questions which are intended to test your application skills heavily. All right, so the finance director stops you at your workstation and hands over a document. please go through this document, which is an excerpt of board meeting minutes. I need your advice on following matters. So let's look at what appears within these board meeting minutes. Cewmlator's research and development team has completed successful tests of its roof integrated solar panel system. So this entire mock exam is developed on the premise that your company, Cewmlator, is contemplating about introducing a new set of cars which come with roof integrated solar panel systems. Okay, so the second section is tied to this same logic. The technology allows for trickle charging during parking, extending the range for users in high sunlight regions without requiring grid access. So this is an issue which was highlighted within the pre-scene. So, aligned with this issue, I've developed this question. Interest from other manufacturers has surged. Okay, there's a mistake here. Interest from other manufacturers has surged, with Saturn expressing intent to license the technology to enhance their ESG credentials. So we have, found something new, and our closest competitor, Atom, is interested in purchasing purchasing this technology via a licensing agreement. The board acknowledges the revenue opportunity, but is also mindful of intellectual property risks. Yes, we can generate some money by sharing this new technology with our competitors, but we should safeguard our intellectual property. If not, we would lose our competitive advantage and the risk of losing competitive advantage, as I mentioned. To mitigate this, Cewmlator plans to use third-party escrow services to safeguard sensitive design and technology data, along with patent protections and NDS. So intellectual property or safeguarding intellectual property will be handed over to a third-party specialist company, because we are not specialists when it comes to safeguarding intellectual property. We are a BEV manufacturer. We know everything about BEVs, but we have limited knowledge about safeguarding intellectual property. That's why we are outsourcing this element to a third-party escrow services provider. And this company is supposed to safeguard sensitive design and technology data, protect our patents, as well as look into NDAs or non-disclosure agreements. These measures aim to maintain control over the intellectual property while enabling secure licensing, sustainable growth, and technological leadership. All right. So we are trying to do something new, and we are trying to share our innovative capabilities with other players within the industry, but we have to do it in a safe manner. So let's look at the second requirement. You are supposed to recommend the activities that Cewmlator's internal audit department should perform to ensure the protection of the proprietary technology and intellectual property. So this requirement tests your understanding about internal audit responsibilities, which appear within your P3 syllabus. So what is your job? You are supposed to recommend what the internal audit department should do to protect our technology as well as intellectual property. So what type of steps our internal audit department should take to protect our intellectual property or this innovative technology? So the subtask, the weightage provided for the subtask is 30%. Based on that, I've highlighted how we should determine how many marks are dedicated for the subtask. So as you know, in each section, the total mark allocation is 50. So 30% of 50 comes up to 15 marks in total. So when you know the mark allocation, then you are supposed to determine how many points you should include in your answer. Each valid point carry 2 or 3 marks. So divide 15 by 3, you get an answer which is 5. Then again, divide 15 by 2, you get an answer which is 7.5, or you can round it up to 8. So if you include 5 to 8 valid points in your answer, you are going to get full marks for this subtask. So you know the requirement, then you have figured out how many points you should include in your answer. Now it's time for you to direct your attention towards developing the answer plan. So when tackling this type of a question, as I mentioned earlier, this is everything to do with application. A bit of theory comes in because whenever you are tackling a question to do with internal audit responsibilities, it comes down to conducting risk assessments, conducting various different types of reviews. As you can see, I've clearly mentioned about the type of risk assessments which our internal audit department should carry out. On top of that, they have to conduct various different types of reviews. I've said review twice here. And on top of that, they have to take steps to evaluate our own internal controls within our company and think about coming up with a foolproof method of safeguarding this technology by thinking about what we are supposed to achieve in the future. So I've mentioned everything about what our internal audit department should focus on, with the intention of insulating us against a risk or coming up with foolproof controls. So the logic behind this answer is, when it comes to tackling a question to do with internal audit responsibilities, first things first, think about what should be covered when conducting a risk assessment. Then there should be various different angles considered, considering various different reviews our internal audit department should conduct. And also a prime objective or a prime responsibility rather of the internal audit department is to evaluate the internal controls, because we have to make sure that our own employees stick to the controls. So that's why we have to evaluate the strength of our internal controls and then think about the future. Okay. So that's the logic behind this answer. So that's the theoretical element, which is actually minute. Then actually minor, and then you have to focus your attention mostly on application. So we have to conduct risk assessments to check the effectiveness of our current intellectual property management initiatives in place. Okay, so we have to see whether our current intellectual property is documented, whether they are filed properly and protected, because everybody within the organization should not have access to these intellectual property related files. So that's why the internal audit department should make sure that all our intellectual property related documents, not just intellectual property tied to this new technology, but our previous innovations, everything concerning our previous innovations, our internal audit department should ensure that everything is documented properly, filed and protected. And also the internal audit department should check whether we have taken steps to regularly update our patents, not just this patent, but the previous patents as well. So by conducting this type of an evaluation or a risk assessment, we are in a position to figure out the effectiveness of our current intellectual property management practices in play. And if there are any shortcomings, this shows the fact that when dealing with this new technology, when we try to share this new technology with our competitors, we might face hiccups, because if you had faced hiccups, if there are shortcomings previously, then the same mistakes might come up in the future as well. And also it's essential that it's actually practical that our internal audit department checks how various different industry players have dealt with intellectual property violations, because we can learn from the others. We can learn from the mistakes which the others had committed. So that is why it is prudent for our internal audit department to check industry players to spot violations of intellectual property. So with this in mind, they are supposed to check the type of intellectual property or cybersecurity theft industry players has faced in the past, as well as the type of insider risks these companies had faced by learning via the mistakes which third parties faced. We can make sure that we take foolproof methods to insulate us against cybersecurity or intellectual property or insider risks. And also, they should check the potential vulnerabilities and threats of licensing. So they can conduct their own research. If they feel that they do not have the internal capabilities to do a foolproof research, then they have to reach out to third parties and get their opinion about the vulnerabilities and threats of carrying out a licensing agreement, especially when we are sharing innovative technology with third parties. And also, After we have understood all these issues, then our internal audit department should develop mitigatory strategies for each risk. And when developing mitigatory strategies, as per what is highlighted within your P3 syllabus, whenever we are evaluating any type of risk, you are supposed to look at the impact and probability of risks. I highlighted these things in depth in the previous workshop. If you missed it, please go watch it, because I've tackled an exam standard question to do with how to update the risk register, in which I tackled the same elements in depth, explaining what is covered under your P3 syllabus. So in terms of conducting risk assessment, it is about checking the effectiveness of our current processes in place, checking what type of issues industry players had faced, and what type of action they have taken to come out of these situations. And also we have to check this question is tied to licensing agreement. So we have to check the potential vulnerabilities and threats of licensing. So considering each of these risks, once we have identified the risks, then the next step is to evaluate each risk. When evaluating each risk, you are supposed to consider the impact and probability of each risk, because when you consider the impact and probability, you can categorize the risk as per the TARA or the TARA framework, and based on the risk categorization, you are supposed to come up with appropriate risk mitigatory strategies. So this question has nothing to do with risk mitigatory strategies. You are not supposed to explain or recommend risk mitigatory strategies. Instead, you are supposed to talk about internal audit responsibilities. So I've stopped my answer there concerning risk identification and risk evaluation. I've not mentioned about risk mitigatory strategies, because that's not what your requirement is all about. And then I said that our internal audit department should conduct various different types of reviews. So we are trying to deal with a third-party escrow services provider. So before we sign the deal with them, our internal audit department should review and verify the effectiveness of licensing and escrow arrangement. So with this in mind, our internal audit department should conduct credibility checks focused on the escrow services provider. There is no indication as to whether we have already selected an escrow services provider, which indicates the fact that we might be reaching out to various different escrow services providers. So focused on each escrow services provider, our internal audit department should conduct credibility checks. And also it's essential that our internal audit department check the alignment of escrow agreements terms with our own security objectives. So we have to see that, yes, we are trying to utilize the resources or the services provided by a third-party escrow entity. So we have to see whether the objectives, the security objectives of this third party is aligned with our own security-related objectives. If there is some type of a misalignment, then we should not, sign an agreement with such a party. Because if we believe in something in terms of security, then the third-party escrow services provider should believe in security in the same manner. If they do not, if there's some type of a mismatch in our understanding or the way in which we see or view security, then we should not deal with such parties. And also, our internal audit department should check the definition and enforceability of intellectual property release conditions, because as per this question, it is tied to safeguarding intellectual property by utilizing the services provided by a third-party escrow company. So we have to check the definition and enforceability of intellectual property release conditions to see whether the escrow services provider is on the same page when compared to what we intend to achieve via this agreement. And so that's about reviewing and verifying the effectiveness of licensing and escrow arrangements. Then there's a mention about non-disclosure agreements as well, because this company is supposed to look into three main elements as per this question. The third-party escrow services provider is supposed to safeguard sensitive design and technology data, along with patent protections and NDAs. So our internal audit department should check the non-disclosure agreements or check the NDAs as well. So NDA reviews should be considered. Therefore, the internal audit department should check the structure, content, and enforcement capabilities of these NDAs. We should check whether these NDAs are foolproof, whether they are structured properly, what type of content appears within these non-disclosure agreements, and at the same time, whether we can easily enforce these clauses which appear within the non-disclosure agreement if the third-party escrow services provider violate these non-disclosure agreements. And when conducting these reviews, our internal audit department should ensure that we have covered confidentiality, how to deal with unauthorized usage, the type of penalties which we have stipulated for breaches, as well as the process for monitoring compliance, because as and when necessary, our internal audit department, let's assume that we have signed the agreement with, or we have selected a third-party escrow services provider and we have signed the agreements and the NDAs, there should be a process in place which enables the internal audit department to monitor compliance of this third party, to see whether this third party is actually sticking to these agreements and sticking to the non-disclosure agreement. So that is why a process concerning how to monitor compliance should be inculcated or included within the non-disclosure agreement. So they have to conduct reviews concerning the NDAs to see whether we have come up with foolproof non-disclosure agreements. If not, we are going to face issues in the future, even after signing non-disclosure agreements. And also, I mentioned the fact that our internal audit department should evaluate our own internal controls concerning access to technology. This an innovative technology which drives competitive advantage. So we have to see as to who has access to this innovative technology within our own company. Because if we do not safeguard this technology within our company, irrespective of the fact that we sign agreements with a third-party escrow provider, there could be an information leak or a data breach if we have not taken steps to safeguard the data or this technology or data concerning this technology within our company. So that's why they have to check access rights management, especially focusing their attention towards those who are working for IT and IS, research and development, as well as engineering arms, because this innovative technology, which is about roof integrated solar panels, has everything to do with R&D, engineering, as well as we use a lot of software within our organization, not just within our organization, within our cars actually. So it's essential that our IT and IS employees are, their access rights are kept on check at all times. And also, our internal audit department should check change controls, because whenever we change something within our organization, it should be properly documented. There should be someone who spearheads these initiatives. There should be someone who is responsible for these changes. So these change controls, because when we are trying to introduce something new to the market, after some time we will keep improving it, which leads to changes in the scope documents and whatnot. So there should be a specific individual who is responsible in terms of handling these changes. So we have to check all these things. Our internal audit department should check how we tackle change controls within our organization. If not, there could be an information leak, as well as our internal audit department should check encryption and multi-factor authentication, which we have implemented within our own company with the intention of safeguarding information concerning this innovative technology. So we have to conduct tests concerning our internal controls. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, we have to think about insulating us against any type of risks concerning the future. So concerning the future, our internal audit department should develop an ongoing monitoring plan. And as part of these monitoring plans, regular audits should be conducted post-licensing, as well as training initiatives should be carried out. So when conducting regular audits post-licensing, the credibility of escrow arrangements should be tested. So our internal audit department should, check whether the third-party escrow services provider is actually sticking to the agreements or not, whether they are actually doing the job or not. And therefore, they should check whether they are adhering to the non-disclosure agreements as well as the licensing agreements. Because just because we sign a contract, we cannot assume that a third party is going to adhere to the contract. That is why the internal audit department should constantly keep checking this third party to see whether they are sticking to the contractual terms. If not, we can, cease working with them and take legal action against them. And on top of it, it's essential that we, spend some effort on training. So we have to train our own employees as well as, if possible, we should get in touch with these employees of or the stakeholders of the third-party escrow services provider, as well as those who end up, utilizing our technology. So, for instance, let's assume we actually share this technology in the future. There's no indication of the fact that the board has actually decided to do this. But in the future, if we take steps to actually share this technology with the intention of generating an additional revenue stream, then it's essential that we train the employees of our competitors as well, with the intention of safeguarding our intellectual property. So we should train our own employees. The employees of competitors should end up hopefully using our technology, and employees of the third-party escrow company. Focused on these three types of employees, we have to conduct these training sessions, thereby highlighting how to safeguard intellectual property, highlighting the importance of protecting intellectual property, and highlighting the legal ramifications of violations. Because when we highlight the legal ramifications, employees both within our company as well as in competitors' companies as well as the escrow company will think twice before breaching these controls, because no one likes to face legal issues by simply given the fact that they were negligent when it comes to breaching controls. All right, so that's a practical answer. So you need to, whenever your knowledge concerning internal audit responsibilities are tested, think in terms of what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to conduct risk assessments, conduct various different types of reviews, focus on the internal control environment within our own company, and think about the future. So that's these are the four main elements covered in here. But if you look at the logic behind this answer, or what I've included within the answer, everything is totally aligned with what appears within the unseen. So that is why I said that it's essential that you achieve a greater level of open-mindedness before you walk into the exam, because at the exam, your job is to solely focus on the information which is shared with you and develop answers, considering this information. That's why I do not want you guys to memorize anything. Instead, when going through these master classes or when conducting your revision, your objective is to improve your logical thinking capabilities. If you do so, you will gain extremely good marks for application. So I've not forced to bring in theories. Instead, as and when necessary, I've used them. So as I mentioned earlier, I've looked at 4 different angles concerning internal audit responsibilities. And on top of that, I've mentioned how to evaluate each risk by focusing on the impact and probability. Again, bringing in something from your P3 syllabus. So you have to do it in a subtle manner, because the examiner tries to replicate a real-life corporate environment. In a real-life corporate environment, you are not supposed to explain theories. Instead, you have to, when developing your answers, you have to utilize the knowledge which you have gained via what you have learned so far, with the intention of coming up with the best type of recommendations or conducting the best type of evaluations. All right, so once you have developed this type of an answer plan, then your next step is to join the dots. So join all these points, thereby developing a paragraph per answer plan. And therefore, your final answer should look something like this. As you can see, the entire answer is in paragraph form. You're not supposed to, retype the answers from the extended answer from scratch. Instead, simply join each of these points and form a paragraph per answer point. When you do this, you are saving a lot of time. When you save a lot of time, you are taking steps to avoid undue levels of stress. Okay, so that's what I wanted to cover. I hope you gain something via this masterclass, and those who stick to our study plan end up passing comfortably. That's why we achieved an 84% pass rate in the SCS exams, which happened in November 2025. The highest scorer was Harold, who ended up scoring 116. This guy was doubtful, just like you, was anxious before the exam. However, the only difference is the fact that this individual stuck to the study plan religiously. I know for a fact that it's a pain in the ass to wake up early in the morning, but if you commit yourself in the upcoming 2 weeks, you still can pass comfortably. Because if someone who is coming through the exemption route, who landed at SCS directly, ended up scoring 116 when the pass mark is just 80, you can achieve the same feat if you stick to our study plan. All right, so having said that, I'm moving to the Q&A. If you have any questions, you can switch on your mic and talk, or drop a message via the chat. Any questions, folks? I'm going to enable. Yes, you can unmute yourselves now if you want. I think a question had come through. Angelina is asking a question. Please, are we able to download mock 1 question and answers from the platform? Angelina, you cannot download our material from our student dashboard, especially mocks and suggested answers. But if you had opted for a paid course, definitely we will share the PDF versions. Jean is asking a question. If we were to add one more point in this answer plan, what could it be? We covered 4 main points. Well, I've covered everything in here. There's nothing else we should cover. So if you look at this 1, 2, 3, 4, there's actually 5 points. Okay. This 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 points. So I'm satisfied. So there's no hard and fast rule which says that you should. I said that based on the mark allocations, ideally you should include 5 to 8 points in your answer. But if you cannot think of something else, if you feel that you have covered everything, there's absolutely no point of stressing too much, because it's all about coming up with logical answers which are foolproof, which are intended to cover everything. So when you have access to our resources, when you watch the masterclasses and take steps to redevelop answer plans, you will gain an understanding of what foolproof answers are, or how to tackle each syllabus element covering all elements. Then you need not worry about the number of points you need to include. So I've actually included 5 because as per the weightage, it's ideal to include 5 to 8 points. But at the exam, if you just come up with 4, and if nothing comes into your head, don't stress yourself too much. Keep moving forward. I hope I addressed your concern. You're welcome. Anything else, folks?
Necessarily related to.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yes, it's not necessarily related to this masterclass.
Mm-hmm.
Just supposing if the factory that makes, say, the batteries stopped producing the batteries for a particular reason, say for maybe because a strike happened or something, how does Cewmlator continue producing cars if, say, there was no batteries being produced? What would be the it's just I saw a question somewhere, something relating to something similar to this. How would they, what sort of a plan could they put in place? I know it was mentioned maybe diversification, just to have not have all your eggs in one basket, but the fact that we're producing batteries, we're hardly going to go to another company to get, say, the batteries, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to continue producing our cars or manufacturing our cars if we had no batteries.
Okay, and what would you do?
Well, I suppose maybe if we had a buffer stock, if we
Okay,
had,
so there's let's assume there's a strike or there's some type of
yeah,
a disruption within the factory. There was a fire. Okay, so
yes.
we have access to some excess batteries. Definitely, there's a buffer. There's going to be a buffer stock. What if we run out? What would you do?
I suppose you'd have to try another company, try and see if you could source them
Exactly.
elsewhere. Yeah,
Exactly. So that's the only option at your disposal. You can be the largest car manufacturer in the world, but if you, as a BEV manufacturer, if you don't have access to batteries, if you don't have the capabilities to manufacture batteries, or if there's some type of a hiccup in the short term, the only way is to reach out to the competition and procure the batteries from them. There's going to be a lot of repercussions. So when evaluating this type of a situation, you have to come up with a practical solution. The most practical solution is to reach out to a competitor or a battery supplier, but we have to ensure that it does not this move is aligned with what we believe in. It does not impact the quality, because for instance, if you purchase the wrong batteries, it impacts the safety of the cars. And if there was an accident, for instance, then we'd have to face a lot of legal as well as operational issues in the future. So these type of angles should be considered. So yes, the objective should be to purchase the batteries from someone else for a short period of time, but you should also have the capability to evaluate the repercussions of doing so, because as I mentioned earlier, we have to ensure that the quality is maintained, and at the same time, then we'd have to test these batteries, which adds some additional pressure on us, as well as we have to think in terms of the financial implications, because when we purchase from one of our competitors, definitely they will know for a fact that there's something wrong within our business. So they will try to charge a higher margin from us, which will impact us adversely in terms of finances. Got it?
yes. Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome. Anything else? Okay, Jean is asking a question. I was asking because of the weightage. Many thanks for the reassurance. Okay. And Jean is asking another question. That's why BYD started its batteries and its materials from different countries first, and then when the sourcing was controlled completely, it started to develop its car and build up completely lineup, which is dominating the world. Can we look at it in this way? Security was key in the viability and sourcing of it. So if you consider a company such as BYD, well, okay, I'll talk about how these companies came into play. So when it comes to electric vehicles, Nissan was one of the first movers with their Leaf, and then Tesla moved in as well. And the Chinese government, since they believe in renewable energy as well as green energy and whatnot, the Chinese government invested on 50 different companies, in which the government bore 50% of the investment. So if you want to put up electric vehicle manufacturing plant, let's assume you have to spend $100 million. $50 million are given by the Chinese government. That's why companies such as BYD came into play. So there were 50 companies in China when they started this initiative, but 45 closed down. Only 5 companies were successful, out of which BYD was the most successful one. Why is this the case? Because BYD solely focused their attention towards manufacturing batteries first, and they ended up selling these batteries to Tesla, which led to positive reputation. Because whenever someone was talking about Tesla, those who are car enthusiasts, they were looking at the energy source as well, and they got to know about the fact that they are sourcing everything from China. And there was some type of a doubt in the first 2 or 3 years. However, when individuals or when consumers got to know about the fact that these batteries are functioning properly, everyone got to know about BYD. And then BYD directed their attention towards manufacturing their own electric vehicles. And therefore, it is the largest electric vehicle manufacturer in the world at the moment. And there's a lot of government support provided by the Chinese Communist Party. All right, so that's something else. But in terms of how we operate, so Anne was asking a question about us facing some type of a hiccup when it comes to our battery manufacturing arm. Because of that, what we are supposed to do. So if we encounter this type of an issue, we cannot go down the route of BYD, because BYD first focused on manufacturing batteries and then, focused their attention towards manufacturing fully functional electric vehicles and PHEVs. So since they were solely focusing on manufacturing batteries, they could reach out to various different types of suppliers and secure proper supply contracts and work on these relationships over 10 to 15 years of time. But us as a company, when we encounter some type of a hiccup in our battery manufacturing plant, we cannot reach out to various different suppliers concerning sourcing lithium, cobalt, and nickel, and then reach out to another supplier which is into combining all these components and manufacturing batteries. We cannot go down this route. Instead, the best alternative at our disposal is to reach out to one of our competitors, which are utilizing similar batteries, and secure or purchase batteries from these competitors. We can reach out to international battery manufacturing companies as well. So these are the two alternatives at our disposal. We cannot reach out to mining companies and get in touch with a battery manufacturer, get everybody on board and end up manufacturing batteries from scratch, because we do not have the time to do so, especially when we encounter some type of a hiccup. So adding to what I explained or what I mentioned when having the chat with Anne, the easiest option is to purchase from our competitors. An alternative option is to purchase from an international battery manufacturing company, which is going to be a bit costly given the transportation costs and quality concerns as well. I hope I addressed your concern, Jean. Anything else? All right. Seems like there aren't anything else. Thank you very much, folks, for raising these questions. I love it when you ask a lot of questions. So if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Visit our website and click on the contact button and drop us a message. Our admin staff will get in touch with you via email during office hours. Or you can directly email us at info@study@tcs.com or WhatsApp us on this number if you need instantaneous support. And I urge you to follow us on our social media handles, especially YouTube and TikTok, because via YouTube, you'd gain access to the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops. And via TikTok, you'd gain access to a pre-seen mind map, a set of 6 videos, actually. So in these upcoming 2 weeks, keep watching these TikToks over and over on a daily basis to constantly keep yourself reminded of what appears within your pre-scene. And we have shared this document with you already as well, the PDF version of the pre-scene mind map. So go through this as well to remind yourself of what appears within the pre-scene. And if you are yet to read the blog post, read the blog which we have developed based on a company, Cewmlator. So having said that, it brings us to the end of this masterclass. I hope you gained something out of this. The prime objective was to share a 15-day study plan with you. I hope you will, start your preparations if you're yet to. It's essential that you start right now. Spend 4.5 hours of study time on a daily basis. If you do so, if you put in the hard yards in the upcoming 2 weeks, you can definitely pass this exam. So I hope you will stick to it. And on top of that, the secondary objective was to direct your attention towards a question which is mostly focused on application, testing your application skills. So I hope you gained a good understanding of how to tackle these type of questions, and you will gain a similar understanding when you take steps to watch each of the masterclasses which we have developed, and at the same time take steps to redevelop answer plans on your own, which is the best way to solidify your understanding. So the upcoming 2 weeks are going to be tough, but keep fighting, because if you fight, you are definitely going to win this battle. So I'll see you guys next Sunday, in which I'm going to direct your attention towards a question to do with your E3 or F3 syllabi. So thank you for joining. I'll see you guys next week. See you and take care. Keep fighting, folks.
Thank you, Nick.